Hi, I'm cruising with Kate. So I'm finishing my MBA in a couple weeks, and so I love looking at business problems, and I mean that's all. It's a lot of what business is solving problems. So being on the cruise ship for, I guess this is my 5th cruise in a row. It got me thinking about how the cruise lines need to innovate in order to remain profitable, to survive after COVID, all these things. Because there's been a lot of changes in the hospitality industry after COVID. And people go on a cruise and they expect to have unlimited food, they buy beverage packages to have as many drinks as they want, all these things. And as someone who cruises consecutively a lot, like, again, with this being my 5th cruise in a row, I choose to typically not day drink. And I also don't eat like way more than I normally would if I was just at my house, because I'm not trying to gain a lot of weight. It really makes me wonder, like, if you think about how much food costs have gone up, everything's more expensive now with inflation. I mean, we all know just from buying groceries how much more expensive groceries are than they were just a few years ago. Obviously, that applies to companies too, restaurants. Everyone's having to raise prices. And if you come on a cruise, you'll notice there's a lot of food waste that goes on. People will get plates of food at the buffet, not eat them, or they'll order multiple courses in a restaurant, take like 1 or 2 bites and not eat it. And it's because people feel like, hey, I paid for unlimited food, I deserve to get what I pay for. And while I don't disagree with that, you should be able to get what you pay for. I almost wonder if if companies want to survive, they have to innovate. And it really makes me wonder if or when these companies, the cruise lines, are going to either stop offering unlimited food or have different options for people that want unlimited food. Like, for example, I don't typically eat breakfast. It's pretty rare if I do. I eat like 1 plate of food for lunch and then a normal sized dinner. That's about it. I'm not someone who's going to the midnight buffet and all these things. I also don't. But I mean, there's people that come on the ship and eat 5 plates of food. They just keep going back. And so essentially, as a fellow guest, you end up subsidizing the cost for the people that are eating tons and tons of food. Same if they're not eating it and they're just wasting food. Again, as a guest, I'm having to subsidize that waste because they're just thinking it's the tragedy of the commons. Like, we all have a shared resource and people are incentivized to do what they think is best for them without thinking about how everybody else has to take on the negative impacts of that, which, obviously as a fellow guest means the cruise lines or companies have to raise their prices in order to pay for all that food. Whether it's eaten or wasted, it doesn't really matter. So I'm wondering if at some point either cruise lines will stop having buffets altogether and it would be more of a restaurant style setup, or if they offered like multiple options, like people that wanted unlimited food all the time, they could pay a certain price for the cruise, and it could apply to drinks as well. And then if there were people that only wanted a certain number of drinks, or like a 3-course lunch and whatever, or 3-course dinner, they could choose that and pay a lower cruise fare. I think it's nice to give people options. The only problem with that is the more complicated you make processes, the more training you have to do, unless you find ways to streamline it. So, for example, with drinks, unfortunately, like, Celebrity hasn't gotten to the point where they still have a lot of modernization and digitization that they need to do with with everything, but like the cards, for example, the CPass cards. Why are they? Obviously things take time. Again, I work for large banks. There's always going to be problems with companies. I realize that, but there's so many things that could be improved. Like, instead of using plastic CPAS cards, if they had a setup similar to like just using a digital wallet on your phone where that was your CPAS card, and anytime you went up to any of these restaurants or bars, you just scanned your digital wallet the same way you do like your credit card with tap to pay at a grocery store or a restaurant. I mean, I traveled all around Europe and I was able to use that everywhere I went, pretty much. It was really rare that I couldn't. And you would think that like such a big company like Royal Caribbean would be able to develop that kind of technology and use it, because if they did that, say for example, you offered multiple beverage packages. One was unlimited drinks, so that person's going to pay more. Maybe there's another package where you are only paying for like 3 alcoholic drinks a day or 5 alcoholic drinks a day because you're just a moderate drinker. Something like that. If you're using a CPAS card and you're making people manually put in things on a POS system every time they're paying, then obviously it's going to be a huge burden on the crew. But if you have everything preloaded and it's going through a digital wallet, and it's also much more hygienic and germ-friendly to not have people all touching the cards between the guests and the crew, then the guest could just walk up, use their phone to scan whatever it was, and it would just already be loaded in the system. So if they had purchased 3 alcoholic drinks that day, the system would recognize that, and then if it was more than that, then they would be paying out of pocket for any additional drinks. So there was a rumor going around that Celebrity was going to start charging for cookies in Al Baccio, which is the coffee shop. And if, like, all I can think of in my mind is that if a company is so hard up that they're thinking about charging for a cookie when everything else on the cruise is complimentary or unlimited, then there's obviously many more opportunities to save as far as costs and save food waste and all of those types of things. So I'm curious to hear what ideas you guys might have, and yeah, it's a very interesting topic to think about and figure out, but I hope everyone's having a good day, and I will see you later. Bye.